Hello, myself Dr. Upasani, Chief Scientist, University Professor in Department of Agronomy, Birsa Agriculture University. I am going to deliver a lecture on weed management which is mainly prescribed for 4th semester students of this university. The subject itself is weed management. First of all, we should know why weed management study is important in agriculture study. Whatever we do in weed management course, we see that in agriculture courses, we do all study which is responsible for increasing the productivity of crop, whether it is agronomy, whether it is plant breeding, whether it is plant protection measure or like other subjects. So all efforts are to have a good crop yield. But when we have seen that in crop production, the role of weeds is very important. Role of weed management is very important because the yield loss because of weeds is very in high rate. If we grow crop like for example wheat, we will find that lot of weeds are there and that increases the infestation, and by that the crop productivity is also reduced. Now, first of all, we should know what is the weed. As this has been defined, weeds have been defined in various ways. So I have clubbed all aspects of harmful effects of weeds and combined together. We see that weeds are the plants out of place in cultivated fields, lawns and other places. That is a plant growing where it is not desired, or weeds are unwanted and undesirable plant that interfere with utilization of land. Whenever we grow a crop, what happens? The weeds automatically comes in the field, and this way that interferes for various resources like nutrient, light or other resources, and this way the crop productivity is reduced, and that the adversely affect the crop production and human welfare. Not only in the crop field but also in the non-crop area, the weeds are also interfering with the smooth sailing of the life, whether it is on roadside, whether it is on aquatic system, whether it is in other amusement area. So all these places the weeds interfere with normal smooth of life. So how the weeds have come into existence? Since the man has started its cultivation growing crops in about 10,000 BC, so automatically weeds have also come. Whenever man started sowing a crop seed, he found that simultaneously the already present seeds of wheat, they also grow, and this way that interfere with the crop. Any plant in the field other than his crop became a weed. It is considered that many weeds principally originated from two important and major arbitrarily defined groups, either because of man's conscious effort or by invasion of plants into man's created habitat. Sometime we have seen that any colony or any habitat is established there. Before man come into living that habitat, the weeds starts coming there. So weeds are omnipresent everywhere in the crop, whether it is crop field or non-crop area. Now, importance of weeds in agriculture. What we see that in India there are about 40,000 species of plants available in Indian biological biodiversity, and the maximum plant species are in the family of Asteraceae, followed by this Fabaceae, Poaceae, Cyperaceae, Lamiaceae and Brassicaceae, and there are altogether 28,000 plant species are weeds. So you can just imagine that how larger proportion of weeds are present in whole plant kingdom, and about 8,000 weed species are observed in agriculture. So this 28,000 includes weeds of non-agriculture area as well as of agriculture area, and in agriculture about 8,000 weeds are present, and out of that about 250 weeds are considered to be the most problematic, and they are very difficult to control. So I will give a list of weeds in the proportion of their distribution. About 22% of total plant species comes under poaceae, and about 16% asteraceae, cyperaceae, amaranthraceae. So this is the reducing order of their contribution in the weeds number. Similarly, among the worst weeds comes from are the Cyperus rotundus. We know the Cyperus rotundus are found in the field, and they propagate through underground rhizome, and this way so long as rhizome is present in the soil, it is very difficult to control. Similarly, Cynodon dactylon, Echinocloa prisgale, Illusin indica, Eichhornia crassipes, Imperata cylindrica, Sorghum halipens, Ageratum coincides. These are the very difficult to control because they have certain special mechanism to survive. Now, how the weeds cause loss? There are various sources through which the crop suffers due to losses. What are those sources? Among those sources, the maximum losses is because of weed. About 33% crop loss is because of weeds, followed by 26% by insects and about 20% by disease, and other remaining 26% by other biotic and factors. The yield loss is due to competition for how the weeds reduce the yield, because they compete. What for they compete? They compete for nutrients, available nutrients in the soil, moisture. Most of the time we irrigate, but that part of moisture is utilized by the weeds present in the field. Similarly, space and light, because weeds smother the crop, and this way the main crop doesn't receive the sufficient light for photosynthesis. Similarly, carbon dioxide, whatever the carbon dioxide present in the atmosphere, that is also being utilized by the weeds, and this way little carbon dioxide is available for crop plant and thus limit the photosynthesis. Other abiotic and biotic factor. The critical crop weed, this has been considered that about 1/3 life of crop plant is considered to be a critical period, because we cannot go for lifelong eradication or removal of weeds in the crop field. So we have seen that about if we control the weeds about at least 1/3 period of its life cycle, it can give a good crop yield. And for 120 days of crop, which are mainly the seasonal crops grown in 120 days, and first 40 days should be considered as the most critical period. Now, what are the harmful effects of weeds? Competition for resources. As I said that among the resources, weeds compete with crop plants for moisture, light, nutrient, space, carbon dioxide, and thus reduce crop growth, yield and quality of produce. And for example, this lamb squatter, also known as Chenopodium album, requires nearly 174 gallon of water. It is a huge amount of water is required by the Chenopodium album, and if it is present in the crop field, it will utilize that much amount, for example in wheat, that much amount of water, and thus restrict the moisture available for the wheat crop. Similarly, about ragweed, that is also known as ambrosia, this requires about 20 to 40 gallons of water, which is compared to the maize. Maize requires about 92 gallons of water, and for wheat it requires about 174 gallon of water. So this you can compare, you can see the how much larger quantity of moisture is being utilized by the wheats. Similarly, Echinocloa, it is a very problematic weed in rice field. Echinocloa in rice, Phalaris minor, Amina fetua in wheat, and Digitaria sanguinalis, Dactyloctanium egyptium, and other tall weeds in groundnut lower the sunlight availability, because these weeds are taller in size. They are taller in size, and the crop growing are the smaller in size. So they smother the crop plant, thus restrict the photosynthesis. Similarly, increasing density of weeds in a crop would also compete for space. If we can see that density of weeds is very important. If it is very dense, then it will automatically utilize with the resources in the soil. Similarly, loss in productivity under Indian condition, about 33% yield loss due to weeds amounts to economic loss of nearly 2,000 crores under Indian condition. So this is very important to study weed management to get a very good crop production. And these are the certain photographs of Echinocloa colonna. It is mainly found in rice crop. Phalaris minor. It is very obnoxious weed, and once it is crop field is infested with the Phalaris minor, it is very difficult to control, and year by year they continue to grow in the same field and restrict the crop production of wheat. Similarly, Amina fetua, this is also associated weed of wheat crop. Similarly, Digitaria sanguinalis, it is mainly found under rainy season, Dactyloctanium egyptium and Sorghum helipens. These are also very seasonal weeds, and this Sorghum helipens is a type of perennial weed, and this grows of course through underground rhizome, as well as to some extent by the seed also. So loss in quality, it is not the production is lost, but also the quality. Once any crop seed is mixed with the wheat seed, it is rejected. It is rejected by the farmer. Even it is not certified by the seed certification agency. So the quality of seed is also important so far as weed management is concerned. Weeds like wild mustard, Sinapis arvensis, sweet clover, Mexican poppy, and bulblets of wild garlics and wild onion, when threshed and ground with winter grain, can result in serious consequences besides imparting objectionable odor to the floor. It has been seen that they not only admixture of wheat seed is also harmful, but the taste of the products. For example, if we harvest this Coronopus didymus, that is known as wild carrot. If we harvest Coronopus didymus and it feed to the cattle, what will happen? This the cattle milk will give a very bad odor because of Coronopus didymus, because it is also known as swine cress. And once cow milk is infested with this odor, so public liking will be reduced. Infestation of striga in sugarcane reduce the quality of sugarcane juice by about 4% to 8%. Many weeds in pasture and forage crop, for example, Clium viscosa. Clium viscosa is also very problematic, and once it comes into the pasture land, it is not desirable for the cattle. Similarly, wild onion, this gives a very bad odor to the animal. Wild garlic, it is also known as chicory. Wood soren, Oxalis corniculata, it is a very soury taste, and cattle doesn't like this Oxalis corniculata. Similarly, the seeds of Xanthium strumarium, this is a thorny seed. This fruit is very thorny and get attached to the body of sheep and seriously impair the quality of wool. So the quality, it gets stick, and it is very difficult to remove wool from the cattle, this sheep. Not only this, any spiny weeds, if it is present in the pasture land, it will also make an inconvenience to the cattle for smooth grazing. The leaves of Loranthus impair the quality of tea. In cotton, the dry wheat fragments adhere to the lint and hinder this spinning process. So, presence of this type of lorenthus also creates disturbance in the smooth processing of lint. So, these are certain photographs: Clium viscosa, Allium ursinum, Cicoria intybus, and also Oxalis corniculata, what I talked earlier. This is Xanthium struvininium. You can see that these are the thorny fruits and they get attached to the animal's body. Similarly, Dendrophyta falcata. This is also a semi-parasitic weed and found on the fruit plants. Now, lodging in crop. Weed infestation cause elongated and thin stem in crop plants, thus cause lodging in small stature crops like soybean, groundnut and finger millet. Because once weed infested field, these crops get weakened because of less nutrients available for the plant. Besides this, they also grow taller in search of light. This way the stem is very weakened. So they get lodged easily because of high velocity wind or because of flood in the field. Alternative hosts for pests and diseases. We have seen that if a crop field is fully infested with the weeds, we will find that lot of pests and diseases are occurring in the same crop, because when you observe very closely to the field, you will find that weeds having laid eggs of various insect pests, and you will if you turn up the leaf, you find some eggs are laid on the down portion of the leaf. So they hatch their eggs on the weeds. So weeds also act as an alternative host for various insect pests and diseases. Now, weeds documented to act as what? There are various insect pests and diseases which are very host specific. For example, echinoclova. Echinoclova is very host specific for stem borer of rice. Similarly, Chenopodium album, stem borer, beetles and cutworm, Amaranthus, Crotalaria, Avitilon. So these are various weeds over which these pests lay their eggs, as well as they survive on these weeds. And once these weeds are present in the field, they also affect the main crop of the field. Now, increased costs of cultivation. It is not the weeds only affect the main crop, but prior to cultivation, prior to sowing of the crop, you will find that if a field is fully infested with the weeds, so it is very difficult for a tractor or plow to run in the field. So you have to clear the weeds first, then you can plow the field. Occurrence of weeds in crops have shown to increase the cost towards the tillage operation. Weeding intervals and number of weeding. If perennial weeds like Cynodon dactylon and Cyperus rotundus infest the soil, more tillage is required. More tillage is required to lower their menace. Here, combination of different type methods of weed control is required. So you cannot generalize for a particular type of tillage. You have to select out. You have to select out what type of tillage should be operated to have a minimum weeds in the soil in days to come. Similarly, lower human efficiency and human health. Weeds like Parthenium hysterophora, it is very dangerous weed, and it not only it infests the crop production, but also it is very dangerous for the humankind also. So once it is found in your environment, so you have to control it by all means. Ambrosia, this is also very problematic. Artemisia and Rumex acetosella cause allergy to human beings, affecting health, comfort and work efficiency of men, directly or indirectly. Aquatic weeds produce suitable habitat for breeding mosquitoes. You find if you have lake and if it is fully infested with the weeds, so you have to make all arrangement to make it weed free. Otherwise, what will happen? Lot of insects like mosquito will lay their eggs in the that habitat, and it will ultimately cause diseases in the humankind. For example, dengue, malaria. So these type of diseases are caused because of mosquito which lay egg in the ponded condition. Similarly, fire hazard. Most of the time we find that in summer season, in forest area, lot of weeds have their capacity to burn because of friction of the hot air wind. So they cause fire, and this way lot of already sown or already planted forestry plants get damaged, and they are not found anymore. Similarly, weeds like Cromolina odorata, Lantana camera, Mecania micrantha dry during summer and cause fire hazards on roadside and in the forest area. This results in loss of forest wealth and affects herbal weeds having medicinal value, loss of the firewood for tribal people and poor villagers. Most of the tribal people collect their tree plant for their firewood, and this way if they are weeds cause this type of fire in forest area, they will not get such type of wood. You can see the photographs of Cromolina odorata, Lantana camera, it is very common. Mecania micrantha, it is a type of climber, and you will find in many poles, they just climb on the poles, and this way they hide the wire or the other electrical system. So it is very dangerous. Now, limited choice of crop. So you have to find out what type of crop you are to grow, because you cannot compromise with the weed infested. Once, if for example, if your field is infested with the Phalaris minor, you cannot go for wheat crop, because it is very closely associated, and Phalaris minor resembles with that of wheat plant. So you cannot make difference between Phalaris minor as well as wheat plant. So in that case, it will be very difficult to control the Phalaris minor. So heavy infestation of weeds like Cynodon dactylon, Cyperus rotundus, Sorghum albicans limit the growth of a small statured crop like groundnut, black gram, green gram, Bengal gram, and reduce the yield considerably. Occurrence of parasitic weeds. Most of the time what happens, many crops are infested with the parasite weed, and these parasite weeds are host specific. For example, if we grow any onion, in that onion crop, this cuscuta infests the onion only. So once you are growing onion and the field is already infested with the cuscuta, so you are not going to get a cuscuta free onion. So you have choice not to grow onion in that field. Similarly, striga in sugarcane, sorghum and maize, orobanki in tobacco, mustard, brinjal, tomato, potato, and Cuscuta campestris in lucerne, onion, chili, red gram, green gram and black gram. So you have to find out if certain host specific parasitic weeds are present in the soil. You have no option to take those specific crops in the same field. Now you can show Cynodon dactylon. It is Cyperus rotundus, very obnoxious type of weed. Sorghum helipens. This is also one of the very hard weed to control. Striga. Striga is mainly found in maize crop, sugarcane crop. Similarly, orobanki. Most of the Solanaceous family wheat crop are affected by this orobanki weeds. So this is a semi-parasite. This utilize the nutrients from the host plant, so for their growth. Similarly, Cuscuta, you can find that this is a viney type of weed, and this is crumbles the whole plant. This way limits its actual growth. Now, difficult in water management. Weeds are very problematic when you are going to irrigate a field, because it restricts the smooth flow of water into the field. Even if you must have seen that lot of canals and lot of ponds are infested with particular weeds. So they just reduce the energy flow of water to move forward. Weeds extract water from deeper layer and cause stiff competition for crops during stress period, drought condition, as the weed possess higher water use efficiency and cause more loss of moisture through higher evapotranspiration than crops. Further, occurrence of aquatic weeds like Vallisneria, it is found in the aquatic system, and Potamogitone species, it is also known as pondweed, in irrigation air canal obstruct the flow of water, often cause breaking of canals and distress to canal tail enders with less water available for their crop. So I can show some photographs of Vallisneria. This is found under aquatic system. This is also Potamogitone. You can find out this type of fruit bearing structure, and this whole pond is covered with this type of plant. Now, beneficial. This is not all that weeds are very harmful for the human being, because most of the weeds have very beneficial effects, beneficial utilization also. So we can also see the beneficial aspect of weeds, because once you utilize it, once you start utilizing it for your own consumption, so automatically this will reduce the menace in the crop field. So weeds produce huge biomass which could be used as green manure. For example, if you utilize this Parthenium, Parthenium is a very harmful weed, and if you try to utilize it for composting, lot of weeds are can also be used as a compost. So once you start utilizing it, automatically its demand for utilization will limit or will reduce the infestation in environment. They are also used as fodder, fuel, medicinal value, and weed suppression. Through allelopathy, by using Cassia tora, Cassia uniflora, Stylonthus humata, and Cromolina odorata. So these are certain weeds which can be utilized for composting, for grazing to the animals. Now, we can utilize most of the weeds for their green manure also, depending upon the availability of weed biomass. Weed can also, if once weeds are dry and if they are collected before they are flowering, and they can also be used as a mulch or to retain in the field, in the soil, to increase the organic carbon in the soil. So, depending upon the availability of weed biomass, nutrient content, use of 5 to 15 tons per hectare could add organic matter and nutrient. Weeds mine out nutrients from the deeper layer and make them available to the upper layer for the crop utilization. Concentration of, you can see how weeds have very good source of nutrient, and if they are utilized for supplementing the nutrient in the soil, so they can also be very good utilization. Compost, as I said, that many weeds have beneficial effect as a compost. Now, nutrient concentration, it is about this chemical property of the various weeds, Cromolina odorata, Parthenium hystrophorus, a kind of Iconia crescipes, FYM. So you can see that as compared to FYM, the nutrient content of the various weeds are on par with them. Not only this, weeds can also be used as a fodder. Weeds can also be used as a fodder, like Cynodon dactylon, Digitaria, Sanguinalis, Dactyloctanium gypsum. So there are lot of weeds which are also utilized as a fodder. Not only this, fuel also can be utilized. So most of the weeds have fire catching properties. The weeds having high calorific value can be used for fuel purpose or charcoal making. For example, Prosopis jolliflora. Prosopis jolliflora is also very useful, and it is all found in the dry region, and most of the people of that region, they just collect the underground rhizome of Prosopis jolliflora and they utilize for their as a food product. Besides, they can also be utilized as a fuel, and many villagers, they take the woods of the Prosopis jolliflora for their utilization as a fuel. Not only this, Lantana camera, Cromolina odorata and Chloris barbata. So these are number of weeds which can be utilized as a fuel purpose also. So these are certain examples: Illusin indica, Eragrostis pilosa, Silosia argentea, Borevia articulata. These are found under crop field, as well as Amaranthus viridis, Chenopodium album, Citeria species, Prosopis jolliflora, Lantana camera. This resembles with that of this bubble, and Lantana camera, it is very common. Cromolina odorata. This is also very good plant for because it gives a lot of biomass for utilization as a compost. Not only this, Chloris barbata, Illusin indica, Typha. Typha is a very good weed which is found on the both side of roadside, under the ditches, and this villagers use it stick for making thatch of their houses. Similarly, iconic recipe. This is a very good. This is usually problematic under aquatic system. But once you start utilizing as a compost, so it will give a very good biomass for composting. So not only this, weeds are also very good source of medicinal plant. About 90% of weeds are utilized this way or that way for any type of weeds. Medicines. So if you go through various components of medicine, then you will find that any medicine having this medicinal weeds having medicinal property are included in that chemical composition. Weeds are highly valued in traditional medicine system and have been used by indigenous communities for curing different ailments for thousands of years. If you go into the village area, people are not always get the benefits of doctors or hospital or clinic or health center. So they have their traditional method of curing the diseases, and by the virtue of their available weeds. Leafy vegetable. Not only we see that if we go to the tribal area, not always they go for domestic type of vegetables like potato, any gourd or like this. But they have very good source of wheats, have a very good source of leafy vegetable. So if you go into the field, like in wheat field, they will just pick up the weeds available in that Chenopodium album. So similarly, amaranthus are not grown. They just take out from the backyard of their houses. Digera arvensis, Portulaca nonicata, Chenopodium album, Cleum viscosa. All these are weeds which are consumed by the tribal village or any other villagers for their own consumption, and thus they are available in free. So it is very good source of wheat as a very good source of leafy vegetables. So these are certain examples: Portulaca, Lactua, and Chenopodium album, Cleum viscosa, Polygonum. So these are the weeds which are consumed by the villagers. So not only, if you go into the tribal area or any other village, you will find that a stick of Lantana camera is used as a toothbrush. Religious purpose. Cyanidon-dactylon. Always, whenever there is any ritual or any ceremony or any puja, so this saints ask for Cyanidon-dactylon. Ornamental value. Weeds are also used as a hedge plants. So, lantana camera gives a very, because of its good growth habit and quick growth habit, they can also be used as a hedge purpose. Nemacidal value. So, lot of their weeds are there which presence in the field is required because they act as a anti nemacide effect, and this way limit. For example, this lantana camera, datura, and Heliotropium indicum, Calotropis, gignata. So these are the weeds which are of which extract can be used as a nemacidal property. Weeds for manufacture of paper. So we can see that whether it is Parthenium, whether it is Lantana camera or any other Eichhornia crescipes, Panicum repens. So these are the certain weeds which are utilized for paper making. And sometimes the hardboard is also made through this Parthenium hysterophorus. Reclamation of alkali soil. The powder of this Argemone mexicana, it is very good source to improve the soil fertility by reducing the alkaline condition. About 2.5 ton per hectare is reported to reclaim the alkali condition of the soil. Not only this, economic consideration. Weeds are also used for various purposes which will be fetch income to the farmers. For example, cans, Saccharum spontaneum. Saccharum spontaneum is also used for making thatch on the roof of the house of the farmers, thatching. So these are certain weeds which can be used as a cottage industry. Now, source of natural dye. So weeds like Malvastrum, Chromondelanium, Abitilon indicum, so side cordillata. So these are certain weeds which are used for making dye. Heavy metal remover. So there are companies or industries where a lot of heavy metals come out of their from the factory as a byproduct. So they drain out and infest the farmer's field. So there are a lot of plants which absorb such type of heavy metals. For example, Eichhornia crescipi. Eichhornia crescipi, this removes the heavy metals like mercury, lead, iron, copper, silver, zinc from the water. Thus, they protect the farmer's field from infesting such type of heavy metal. So these are certain examples. For example, Abitilon indicum, Sida cordillata, Chrozophora rotari, Polygonum, Erigerum. So these are certain Eclipta alba. So these are very useful weeds. So this way I finish my lecture. Thank you very much.